Hey guys, Aaron here. I just wanted to film a similar intro. This is day 2. Are you excited? You should be. I did not blow up the car. And because of that, Steven, who made this awesome chocolate, who I mentioned in the day 1 video, has become a diamond donor. So in his appreciation for not blowing up his car, you should go out and buy some of this chocolate. I'm going to be putting links to this in the description. So thanks, Steven, for joining. So this chocolate has been eaten, and I can guarantee that it is organic and delicious. You guys are watching the condensed version, which is for those people who are curious about this. If you plan on doing it yourself, I highly recommend joining the channel. Click that join button and become a channel member, and you'll have access to the full version, which is super long. So be prepared. But if you're going to do it, definitely recommend watching that. You're going to get a lot of extra tips and the full uncut, unfast-forwarded version to see exactly what you're going to need to do. And again, that join button still doesn't seem to work on iOS devices, so you might need to use a computer. And at the very end of the video, Steven does his own little recording when he got home of the before and after cam deviations. And some people did ask me, why did he do this in the first place? Was there a chain rattle? No, the chain rattle was fixed for me and him both by doing the chain tensioners on following my video for that. He did it because his cam deviations were off using the Durametric. And changing these rail guides did indeed improve his cam deviations, so they are back within factory spec, barely, but they're there. Guys, another reason that this day 2 video is very important is because we did do some things wrong or out of order. As I'm editing this video, I'm following along with the Boxster technical repair manual. And I found this section about removing this stuff with the engine installed. So these are the Porsche special tools that they list that you need. But in addition to that, it gives you some pre-work to do, which we did all of it. They actually go ahead and remove the entire air compressor, which is not necessary. And I thought it was interesting over here. They actually removed the rear axle support, which I'm not sure why yet. I haven't thought about that. But the biggest thing I would do differently is they used this special tool to relieve the tension on here before removing the cams in the first place. And that makes sense because if you don't do that and you pull these out, you guys saw that it tensions them together and the actual sprocket hits this. They call this the tension, the vario cam. They call it like the tensioner. Actually, they call it the camshaft tensioning element. So yeah, I'm definitely going to order this tool today. So make sure you have it if you do this. That will prevent your sprockets from touching this, and you won't have to use zip ties, and it'll be way, way easier. All right, reading more about this tool, I'm trying to find it now. So it sounds like the earlier Boxsters were actually right-hand threaded, and the later ones switched this to left-hand threaded. So I just called the local Porsche dealership here, and they can't even find this part by looking it up with this number. The guy's going to do some research. I'm going to do some research. Hopefully I'll find this. The other thing I'm seeing is that these things here are called auxiliary chain tensioners. So they're essentially, you remove the real chain tensioners, you put these in, and there's like adjustments to get it to a certain tension, which I guess is, I don't know, it's either less or more, probably less than the real chain tensioners. And they apply these at some points where we just left the chain tensioner in. Don't know if that really matters. And they still list this same part number, which is 9612 for the timing positioner. And that, the one that we have that's not the real Porsche part, does not fit with the engine installed, we discovered. So not sure if this one is any different, if the real Porsche one actually does fit in there with the engine installed. If you guys know, please let me know. But after reading about this thing in here, it does make a lot more sense. So you just attach it with A here first, then you tighten B down so it lines up in that little groove, and then this plate swings back and forth, and that is what actually makes sure that it is perfectly aligned, because C, they call the sword. Once it fits into the back of the top cam there, then you know that this is perfectly aligned vertically, and then that's when you lock it down. So Yeah, that tool is helpful. So we essentially just eyeballed it. Well, a little more than eyeballed it. My tool just had a groove on the bottom that we made sure was all the way in it. So it's almost as good as this. Definitely fits in with the engine in. So if you guys have a better way to use an accurate tool like this with the engine in, please let me know as well. Yeah, this engine demonstrates moving the arm back and forth until this pin lines up directly. Also, oddly, their instructions only mention removing the bank 2 header. They don't talk about it on bank 1, so maybe they have a way of doing that without that for bank 1. In their instructions where they show to attach this tool, it does look a lot different than that other picture, and it does look like it would fit with the engine in. So do they have another part or not? All right, guys, I'm back with you in day 2 after not enough sleep, but we got at least 7 hours of work in yesterday. Started around 9:30, stopped around 6, so just wanted to show you where we got to. So we are on bank 1. We got the camshafts reinstalled. We got the chain tensioner back in. Everything is torqued up. We still have our locking tools in place here. So yeah, that's where we got in day 1. So here we go again. Okay, so according to everything that we have found and the manuals and stuff, what it seems like we have to do next is remove this, put the cover back on, and then after the cover's on, holding everything in place, we remove the locking tool. We will turn the engine 2 full 360-degree rotations, so it should be back in this same location. Then we're gonna check the marks over this to make sure that's still vertical. We'll check the one in the front to make sure it's still pointing in the correct direction. And if everything works, then we're good. If it's not lined up like that, no idea how to fix it. So we're gonna hope that it works. And then after that, the next step is to go ahead and turn it a third time, another 360 degrees, so that way it'll get bank 2 set up to work on. So that's our plan. Here we go. All right, so this shows you the recommended where to put the gasket sealant stuff. All right, this is the stuff we're gonna be applying that Porsche recommends. After letting this sit overnight, I just realized what we probably should have done is re-wipe
yeah.
the case, because there's a little oil that leaked.
It hasn't cinched down over there yet, but hopefully it doesn't leak there.
We're obviously not going the Loctite route this time.
It doesn't say to use it in the factory service manual,
Yeah.
so it's not mentioned in the Pelican parts write-up either.
Yeah.
Plain as day with the camera.
Back to torque time. Here. if I can get up there. All right, so we're starting with number 1 and going through. First, we'll just get them all hand tight. And then these are 10 Newton meters?
Yeah.
Is that right? All right.
10 or 12, I think it's 10.
All right, so we're just getting them all snugged up first before getting the torque wrench up there. All right, so with the manual, the only thing that has 23 of them, there's M6 by 30s. The tightening torque is 13 Newton meters or 10 foot-pounds.
And it's vertical right there.
So we just removed this locking guide. And yeah, so that is the grooves here are vertical because we had our locking guide in there. Make it sure it wouldn't turn. Back on the other side, just confirming that you can almost see up there is facing out where it should be. And we have all the bolts hand tightened now, and we're gonna go ahead and do the engine rotation before we go through the whole sequence of torquing them down, because it's only, what was it, 12 Newton meters or 10 foot-pounds. So we're gonna, I mean, they're really close to that already just by being hand tight. So we're gonna rotate it 360 degrees and hope for the best, or sorry, 360 degrees twice. Make sure everything's lined back up. Assuming it is, we'll go ahead and torque them all the way down. All right, moment of truth. Yes, all right, still pointing out over there. Across to our other side. And let's see if I can get the camera up there. Yes, still pointing up and down. Yeah, there's a better view. All right, so that seems very successful. So now we'll go ahead and do 12 Newton meters on all 23 of these in the correct order. And right before we do that, gotta put the little solenoid cap back on with 2 bolts.
Which look the same as all the other ones, but they're shorter.
All right, here's our list. Start in the middle.
Spark plug seal or tubes back in. And I'm just going to put a little bit of oil on because I wipe them down.
All right, here's the part number on these guys. So that's just the seal that goes on the pump cover, the oil pump cover.
Here's one of the things that the service manual notes on these oil pumps. They are used on both sides. It's just, since I marked the bottom with 1 mark for bank 1, bank 1 is towards the inside of the engine. And then when you mount it on the other side, you'll see 4 through 6 will be towards the inside of the engine. But if you install this backwards, you will not get oil pumping properly through the engine, and you will have an engine rebuild on your hands.
Trying
to
scavenge some oil.
And I'm going to look and see if I can see the angle of the pump piece that it's going to go into is just, so it's kind of facing the same way.
Right.
And let me make sure, okay, I've got this facing the right way now.
11 o'clock-ish.
Yeah, and this freely spins. It's nice and easy, so. I'm just pulling the bolt bolts out. And marks on the bottom.
Okay, here we go.
So the rectangular bit fits into the other rectangular bit. And
so it slides straight in.
yes, it goes straight in, and if it doesn't want to move, I'm going to have to adjust. I might just put a little bit of assembly lube on this to help it slide in there better. Just a line in there.
Promising.
There we go. Shouldn't push flush if the square things didn't align. Definitely see how you could do this multiple hours faster if you had an engine on a stand.
Yes. I was just thinking that, but to get it out, you're not saving time.
No. But if you're buying a junkyard motor and think you're going to just throw it in your car, you should definitely do all of this first.
So next we went ahead and we torqued this down. The spec here is 10 Newton meters or 7.5 foot-pounds. All right, so pulling the pin one more time and rotating another full 360 degrees so we can get it in position to start working on bank 2.
It's here.
All right, so the that upper cap that we have to pull off is right here. So we'll go ahead and pop that one off.
And off.
All right, so let's get up to this cap that we just took off and see what it looks like. Yeah, it's hard to see it. All right, this one is facing in. All right, so more cap to pop off. All right, and this is the top one. Okay, we got a little locking tool again. This time, the rear of the engine, where those two caps that we just took off are. Same kind of deal. The little vertical part of it lines up in that slot, and that's what keeps it from rotating. And just attach it with the one screw. All right, we're gonna take the bank 2 pump off now.
So you can see 4 through 6 arrow pointing up on the inside. Ooh.
Mark, yes, good catch. Don't forget to mark this one. So yeah, while we're down here, I was just telling Steven that even though I've done videos on doing these 2 tensioners, until you actually well, for me at least, until I actually get down here and see some of the internal stuff, it doesn't quite make as much sense. So that's the tensioner that we already did on bank 1 with its oil pump. So it puts tension on that chain for that one. And for bank 2, since it's backwards and the pump is over here on this side, that is the one that has the same kind of tensioner, but it is up top. So that's the one that's super hard to get to, the one that I did not change, that pushes down on the chain for this one. And the third tensioner is this one right here, and it helps push on the chain that goes to the IMS bearing. So if you're doing an IMS bearing, you have to remove these 2 tensioners because these are the 2 chains involved with it. And you do not have to remove the top tensioner because this one's way back here. All right, next we have 2 choices. We can either remove that top chain tensioner now, or we can just take the cover off. And I think we're gonna take the cover off while it's up here, and then we're gonna bring the car back down because you have to get to that one from the top. So yeah, just 23 more bolts.
There's also a power steering bracket here.
All right, so what are we gonna do here?
So just because this power steering line goes right around this part of the motor, I'm gonna just pull it up and zip tie it to another line up here, just to give me maybe an inch of space. It's not good. Pop off.
All right, solenoid cover is stuck on this one, so we're gonna try to pop this whole guy out. Or do you just take it out?
So we disconnected the VarioCam sensor plug, which is up and next to where the top tensioner is. So you can see the remnants of the plug with the orange weather,
See that orange
weather seal up there.
It's coming.
It sits inside a dowel rod things too, just like the cams do.
Oh, can be done.
There we go.
Now we know.
So it gets very tight up here between the e-brake cable that only moves up and down. This guy gets a little more flexibility, and I have it zip tied here because of my headers so they won't touch it. And there's a metal zip tie on the metal bracket. And then I've also zip tied it up there to help give the space to pull it away. But we're gonna put our cam lock tool in. I'm just gonna do them finger tight. That'll be fine.
And while we're down here, I'm going to, like I wanted to remember to do before, I want to see how close these sprockets are.
Yes.
Let's see if we did it right. Okay, yeah, that is really freaking close. Yeah, I'd say that looks about the same. And can't really see the top one.
It doesn't look that bad, but that might be why. I mean, I can see it's inside of in the groove, so it's definitely grooved in. And you can also, it's a good time to point out the writing on the cam caps.
Yep. Make sure you get them back.
Up and down.
Like that. All right, I got smarter. I decided to use my little table thing here this time. Make it easier on us. So again, going over the razor blade, getting all the big stuff off, and then I'm gonna take this thing and throw it in the parts washer and let it soak while we remove the top tensioner. All right, masked up for surgery. Here we go.
So since I've already updated my timing chain tensioners, the upper tensioner on the revised model has a 14 millimeter.
Cut.
So the revised model of the upper timing chain tensioner has a 14 millimeter hex or Allen hole in the top of it instead of a 32 millimeter socket.
Right.
So I believe the reason they did that is because it is a very tight squeeze in there, and
It's easier to get that in there.
it's easier to get this in theory.
We'll see.
The tensioner is located right here.
Oh, yeah.
So you can see there's a slot for the Allen key to fit in, and there's basically no room. So when I installed this previously, I removed the two bolts to the AC compressor. There's one here and one here. And there's actually a third one that you have to get down through there. I'm going to see if I can do this without removing it, because it'll just be a little bit easier today. Yeah, so I think we're going to have to pull the AC compressor because I don't want to round this out any more than... Yep, there's the one, and then the other one is much more hard to see. It's just above it. Same orientation. This is the easiest of the three to get.
So you don't have to take the belt off or anything?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to pop the belt off really quick after I get this bolt out, because that's going to really make it difficult to move. It's got hard lines on it, so you can't really move it very much, but it just like lifts like a quarter of an inch. It's just enough space to get a wrench in, essentially. Yeah, I'm going to pop that off real quick. Yeah. I think you can see why getting this tensioner back in is going to be a nightmare, because you have to press on it just like the other ones.
Yeah.
But there's no room.
No room. How long is this bolt?
It's pretty long. It's the biggest issue is there's the one. The other one's right here, which you can also fit a wrench on, thankfully. And I don't recommend doing what I did, which was try changing the tensioners first and see if that fixes your camshaft deviation. Just do the whole thing. Because this is my second time doing this. Which I think I spent at least an hour trying to figure out a way to not remove the AC compressor. So
yeah, because people say you can do it without doing it.
Yeah, if you have just the right tool, you might be able to do it, but I don't have that. This one's at least cooperating a little better, I think, because physically can't match. All right, so that one's out. Another one in the back. Yeah, it's under this. So if you look straight down there, you'll see the top of a bolt.
Yep.
And that's it.
Looks like you can go right through there.
Yeah, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And it has an aluminum spacer underneath of the compressor where the bolt goes down that you cinch it down with.
I think that's an Amazon special.
It might have like a thread left or something. Not here. Bolt.
Wow.
That's probably why it didn't come out that easy. So you can see when you have the bolts out of the AC compressor, you can move it only slightly, but it's enough to get.
So if you wanted to replace it, what else still has to come out? Just the
actual
physical
compressor.
connection?
The hard lines
Yeah.
are what are holding it in now.
There in the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
There goes. And
So that's
I'm tempted to just
how far-
leave it like that.
Yeah, you could. That's how far you have to push it down manually with your hand and start threading it.
Try to get the wrench out. Because I didn't use the wrench to start it. Press on it. Press down with a flat head while spinning it at the same time. You'll get to see that. Because we're going to have to do it. So we're going to disconnect the oil pump drive sprocket from the exhaust cam. And I'm just going to keep my fingers on the top and bottom of the chain, kind of wiggle it.
Chain stays in the same sprockets.
And on the write-up, it says you might have to take a hammer to this, but it's moving slowly. There.
Here we go. She's not going anywhere.
That's cinched on. All right.
Oh yeah, now we want to make sure that when we put it back on, it stays up.
It stays up, yeah, which should be easier because it has this guide to rest on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. It ends in 7.3. I can see 7.3 up there. It's hard to read.
All right, so we're gonna take off the 3 long bolts that hold the Vario cam in first, and then remove these 2 caps, just like the last side. And we got this locked in so it won't fall out. So while you do that, I'm gonna go ahead and clean that cam cover. All right, so the cover's been soaking in here for a bit. I'm just gonna pull it up onto the table and scrub it. Okay, so we have these 3 bolts out for the Vario cam. We got the caps off. All of this was locked into place ahead of time with that tool and the one on the back that we have removed now. So that made these caps come off easier. So I don't know if we just did it a better job this time or what, or got lucky, but those caps came off nicely. So nothing new on this side. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull them out. We have a little less clearance.
And I loosened this bracket just slightly after I had all of the bolts out for the Vario cam solenoid and cam caps. And as when I loosened it, the cams popped out slightly, and that popped the caps right off. So, good magnet. All right.
Yeah, it's like no big deal now.
Got a little grime on there, but we'll clean them off.
We've done it twice.
Timed correctly. Let's see, where's the other one? Oh, there. So they're not currently on the timing marks, but
This was just like the other one, pretty
yeah.
much.
Yeah, unless they don't come out on time, I have no idea. I know they definitely go back in with those marks aligned.
Yes. All right, so next step is to, we gotta compress that thing again.
Yeah, we got to compress this, which I guess we'll do it by hand first, and then enough to get it out, and then do the
zip ties.
Yeah, I didn't get those.
All right, this one is facing, oops, I said this. This one is facing down, which is correct.
The timing marks are, in the right spot. The timing marks should be facing up at top dead center, so they're pretty much there.
Yeah.
So even if the chain marking is not quite on.
So let's line up with this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8-ish.
8. So shouldn't that be way over here?
Yeah, they might be off by a tooth. And they'll go back in correctly.
Yeah, all right. All right, we're hooking 2 of these little tiny zip ties together, sticking them through the holes, and then adding a 3rd zip tie so that they can all connect together. And prepping it for
Compression.
compression. If you can't get it out, just turn it upside down and it
Yeah, that's what we did last time, huh?
just randomly pops out.
So we're gonna try that upside down thing. I think what happens is
see,
it
that
twists
should,
like that.
It's already coming in.
I'm gonna try to compress it just a little bit more. We're just trying to clearance it off this metal part right here. All right. We got a few baby clicks out of that. Because we don't really know what we did last time, it just kind of happened. Same with going back together, so. The good thing is we can compress it plenty
With the C-clamp.
with the C-clamp once it's off. So tilting it upright like this and just moving the camshafts back and forth allowed it to pop right out. So
Good catch.
yes.
So it came
Don't
out
want to
the
drop
inside.
any of this.
So
Yeah, it came out
the
on the inside, which is not the way I've been trying to push
Yes.
it.
Oh, I bet I know why these weren't lined up on those marks. Is because, well, if we turn these around a full rotation, do they come off and just end up in random places?
It's possible.
Yeah, roll
Look,
them
make-
around.
I'm just gonna
So
see.
that goes back. Where was that? Down, facing down.
Yeah, this was down. So yeah, now the. So we're gonna go.
around again. Up. Alright, until it's down. Yeah, I bet
So,
it's just.
yeah.
Yeah. I bet they start that way, but then they just randomly.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
just
All right,
where
that
they're
makes
supposed to
sense.
be to start.
That makes sense. Alright, Martin's here.
Yeah, the guides.
Alright, so these are the guides that we took off of the Bank 2. And this is the oil-fed side that is seriously grooved, and the other side is much worse on this side. This one wasn't really damaged too much in Bank 1, but this is definitely a lot worse over here. And the weird thing is that Bank 2 was the good one as far as cam deviations. So here's our new ones again. Same as the other side. Just pop them off and pop the new ones on.
The whole assembly, so the solenoid by itself is I think $200, and then the assembly is $1,200. And then these are like $40. In some cases, they get so worn out that they're actually wearing the metal underneath of it, and then that's when you have to replace the whole thing. And sometimes the solenoid fails, which you can at least unscrew that and replace only the solenoid, but you still have to take everything apart to get to it. So, not ideal.
I just got this thing.
That's the one we bought at the
Yeah.
repair channel.
Yep. All right, so without our special tool again, we're going C-clamp.
Just making sure they're all as tight as they can be. There's that one. I think the seal is a little bit harder to get.
Zip tie.
Yeah, I think last time we had the zip ties on, we swapped them out before, so
Yes.
I'll just mess with this. I'll get it undone first. And...
Hey, Millie. Good girl. We got a shop dog in here today helping us out.
I hope that's okay. Well, seems fine. Maybe. Please be fine.
Seems like it just goes back and forth.
Yeah, it's pressed in. There's nothing on the inside. And it'll be compressed quite a bit when it's in there. So
Yep.
I don't like how easily it moves now.
Yeah, it's just getting pressed together all the time.
Need greater leverage than your hands.
Yeah.
We just need to reclamp it on and get the zip ties back and then try.
So that's how that snaps on.
Right.
But I was trying to break it loose once so
Right,
that
yeah.
it'll be easier to undo.
Right. Or if you have an adjustable plier,
To squeeze.
put pressure this way here and then grab it from this way to try to cantilever it off. I don't know, that may or may not work.
It might just have better grip than my hands.
Right. Our tools to the rescue.
Well, it's better than.
I was going to see if you had a larger one that would touch even further down.
Yeah. I don't.
I have a. Oh,
Go.
that's all I need. Bam!
Thank you.
Look at that, Martin to the rescue.
So I'm just gonna pop it back on so that we can C-clamp this back together, and then hopefully it comes off easier the second time.
Oh, we'll use that tool next time.
Yeah.
See, this failure taught us something.
I mean, they're damaged as is, so putting something that will further cause wear isn't important. Just don't do it on the new ones.
Yes, exactly. So I move this. Did these pop off easier? And
We're
I
going
just
to use our newfound tool.
this. One. Two.
Yeah.
And oil feed side. That's like how easy it goes on. That's why I'm like, wait, what? Okay, and oil feed side faces up.
And out.
And since I took it apart from the inside, maybe it'll go back together that way better. All right, we want to double check our timing marks. They are not aligned. This is why you double check. All right, they are aligned now.
These are pull it the other way.
All right, one more time back to the C-clamps. Get this
Can you do
thing
that?
all the way tight.
And just give it a little bit of extra clearance.
Keep a couple teeth on just in case. Can you try separating them for me? That's gonna make it tighter, I guess.
Can this body travel down more?
So the outside doesn't move, but these do. So,
Right. I'm just thinking how this.
oh,
how
whatever
the
just
metal-
happened?
Right.
Yes.
So we're pushing down this guy because
Gotcha.
of the travel of
okay.
in between. So you have to. Seems like when you start on the bottom, you have to give as much clearance here, and then when you start on the top, you have to give it much downwards clearance.
So timing marks are in line, as you can see. So we are going to make sure this is centered and cut these zip ties.
Make sure these are facing.
Well, we're gonna have to rotate that because
These teeth are rubbing
Yeah.
against this metal.
once it's torqued down, it gives the smallest amount of clearance.
Yeah, it's
We
crazy.
checked before because we noticed that on the other side when we put it back together, and we were like, oh, well, hopefully that's right. Then we looked on this side, and yeah, it's like literally have to shine a light behind it to tell there's a gap.
This is the Germans.
Yeah, the Germans. All right, so chain is on, and the things are on the bottom like they're supposed to be.
Yep.
It's going to mount like this, so it'll be pointing towards the engine, and then that's vertical. Actually.
Yep.
So
things are good.
whew. Right. So we're
Alright.
confirming.
Yes.
Notches
facing
down. That one's pretty vertical, so I guess we're supposed to wheel the
slide
table over
this.
first.
We got wheels. Let's make use of them.
That's a good purchase.
So make sure that chain on the left is up.
Yes.
You might need.
I'll have to lift it before we bolt anything down.
Right.
Can anybody see if that's vertical? It should be in line with the.
There's two little notches in the back of it.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to see is
This bottom one is
Yeah.
right here.
vertical, and it's like the exact same alignment as the.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
perfect.
can't see the top one, but
Top one doesn't have a mark, so
okay. The
perfect.
bottom one is facing straight down.
And this is pointing in like it's
Almost. I mean,
supposed
it's
to.
off by like 5 degrees.
Is it?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like we need to rotate anything.
You actually had it if you zoom in. Yeah. Came back a little bit.
I guess this goes on before the cam caps anyway, right?
Let's see. This is how it is. All right. So we're sticking this tool back in here to lock the end.
That first.
All right. A cap on the bottom for exhaust. Facing up with the letters up.
Get one of them going just a little bit. I can get the other. See it starting to cinch down. I'm just letting gravity pull the wrench back down so that I'm not torquing it at all.
Yep.
And contact. Okay, and I'm going to go back to this. Cinch that down just a little bit more. Neck break. And E for intake.
The upper cam.
Which, just like the other side, is blind. That's aligned.
All right, we got the 2 caps on there. Now, time for the 3 bolts for the Vario cam. Just, we haven't torqued them down yet, just got them snug. So, same thing for these 3.
Those are like internal tools.
Kind of expensive.
I
So,
was gonna say it looks like $350.
I think we were at
10
10 Newton meters. Yep.
meters.
So, all right, we're gonna torque the caps first, I
Cam
guess.
caps first, and I'm going with the most annoying one to reach. Did the caps, Varicam, and I think we've got to get the tensioner in now.
All right, so that's gonna go on. We're gonna cut off that cable, zip tie.
I think I put the bolts up here. This guy. All right. I will need you to hand me that.
Yes.
So I'm not letting go of this chain. She might just do it with my fingers first. At least to get the one in. So I don't have to worry about it falling off. These are the oil pump bolts, actually. They're shorter. Sorry. Yeah, all right. It threaded on because it's the same thread pitch, but where did I put those? All right. Take two.
We found them.
Don't put the oil pump bolts in.
Yeah, these are the right ones. All right, so we got all 4 of those on. They are finger tight. Now we're gonna put the tensioner on up there. So we're gonna lower the car and do that from the top. After that, you torque those down.
He's like, I'm ready to go for a ride.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can I reach that? I was filming this from the other side.
All right. Okay, so tensioner is here.
Where's light there?
And what I'm going to be doing, and this is how I got this end originally, is I'm going to be pressing down with this screwdriver and spinning it at the same time. Like that, apparently.
Is it in?
Yes.
What? So
Yeah, so that's, the threads are started. If I really got it, it'll tighten with this relatively easily. If it feels difficult, I will not push it. See it spin.
it's going in. Holy cow.
So,
Yes.
yes.
All right, number 18, that chain tensioner is 80 Newton meters or 59 foot-pounds. And that wrench size for the 32 millimeter, that's if you have the original one in there again.
Race car busy.
All right, so AC pump going back in.
Okay, it's going in. Do it with fingers as long as I can.
It's a lot funnier if you see the full view squashed into the back seat here.
So if no one's replaced their lower AOS line, this is where it connects right here. And it goes like this and connects to the AOS. Do not recommend.
You sound salty about that.
Yeah, I'm still salty about it because I broke it when I was replacing my oil fill tube. So the classic break a $250 part when you're replacing a $30 part ordeal.
All right, we got the 2 front ones on. Now just replacing the belt.
All right, so into the trunk to get the last air conditioner compressor. So everything's in the right place still. I don't know if you can get a shot of it without the bolt in there. You can see the hole pretty easily because of the light.
Yep.
All right. So I gotta get my head in the way. And in it goes. All right.
So did you just drop it through
Just
there?
pushed it, yeah, and it drops down that far.
Oh, wow.
So this is what's in the way for the upper air conditioner compressor bolt.
Okay.
It's underneath of this, so that's why you really can't fit anything in there. And that's factory torque spec right there.
I believe it.
This was loose enough without the tensioner tightened that you could kind of wiggle it back and forth. You could see it move in the bolt hole. So that's why you torque it down after the tensioner's back in.
Were you scared of the lift? Were you scared? Sorry. Back to 10 Newton meters for these 4.
Actually, I think they're, yeah, let's do them a little bit tighter. This one's torqued. We will be removing this and putting the cam cover on.
Yes.
wipe
Make sure
edges
this
of
all
this.
dry again.
More of both.
All right, gasket sealant applied. Don't forget the ones in the middle. That's the factory picture in case you want to see it. Now for the fun part.
Fish this back up there.
I see why they say to put pins in like the two corners to help
Oh, yeah.
center it on there, but we don't have any of those.
Nope. That, so that's through. And I'll need to get my head around this way. Try not to touch it on the thing.
You've already smeared part of it.
Did I?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's. You might want to get some from here if we just hold it there for a second. I'm surprised this isn't like an actual gasket.
Well, the car was designed when Porsche was going bankrupt, so they probably saved a certain amount of money. Does that look right?
Yeah, that's great.
All right.
Perfect.
Oh, you know what?
You need to take. The
We did
tool
not
off.
take the tool off.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That'll do it.
Yes.
Well, no, I got overexcited. I mean, if you can hold it like that, I
Do
think
the
I can get it
steps.
off. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're gonna take it off.
I don't think so, yeah.
You got it.
Sorry, everyone.
That's all right.
Take my hand.
Just
Yeah, you can let go.
review this video, review the steps, and
Don't do this.
you won't do this.
Don't get excited that you're finishing. And leave the tool on.
Or gasket.
All right, yeah, remove that tool in the middle and a little assembly grease in here. And we're gonna go a little assembly grease in the channels there. All right, take two.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, goes on so much better without that tool.
Yeah, who knew? Probably everybody watching. They're like, why is he putting it on now? What an idiot.
And the other step that we kind of skipped last time that we read later on is it says you can hit the case with like a soft mallet to seat it. And after we started tightening these bolts, it did kind of snap into place a little bit. So maybe we should whack it a couple
Yeah,
times.
I'll grab my soft hammer over there. I'm just gonna get a couple bolts in first.
This is the hammer.
Usually you'd have access to the whole top of it to hit with a hammer. The motor was out of the car.
What is it? This is a chap dog.
I'll just let the bolts do the rest.
She does not approve of your hammering.
No.
All right, hand tighten your 23 bolts. It looks pretty sealed.
So we're going to put the solenoid cover back on, which
Sure, front
you
and
can
back.
tell there's
Oh,
the
yeah,
back,
there's a
there's
gasket
the
on the
front.
back.
We're going to press that on, and then before we put those bolts on, we're going to cut the zip tie that I used to hold this power steering line out of the way. There we go. And fish this back around so that it lines up like that.
Ah, look at that. Double duty.
And
now that this is clean, you can see that it actually says Vario Cam. All right, we'll just tighten those down. Are we torquing them, do anything?
I gotta
just
check
kinda
that.
tighten these
I'm just
ones.
gonna tighten them. I think they're like 10 or 12
10 also.
Newton meters.
And then we have one cable to connect.
So
We didn't film the disconnecting of this one, but we need to reconnect it.
So the bracket's right up there. And get it shoved into the clip that it sits in. Then it sits still. Oh, not that direction. They're right in my eye. It's easier to disconnect than it is to connect, apparently. Okay. It's connected, and I'm going to slide it into the clip thing.
And there it is. All right, new O-ring again for the Bank 2 pump.
And 4 to 6 will go towards the inside of the motor, and my two white marks for bank 2.
Yes.
And it's seated.
All right, 4 bolts, 10 Newton meters again. Shop dog is ready for us to be done. Fire it up! See what happens.
There's no oil.
All right, so next step, we gotta take this tool off the end still. We don't want to forget that before we try to turn the engine. That would not turn well.
Well, drop the thing that makes less noise.
Tool is out.
Still facing in, and this is vertical, which are the things that need to be.
All right, make sure they're correct. Now we're gonna bring this down and turn it 360 twice to make sure that they're still lined up.
Pull the pin.
Pin out, spin it twice. All right, car's back up. Let's check if I can see this on camera. All right, so they are still vertical, which is what we want. Facing in. Right? I can't see it.
I can't see it, so I'm gonna stick my leg up.
All right, so everything is back together and it should be timed properly. And I guess we just reassemble. So we got some tubes. We haven't put the tubes back in on this side, I don't think yet.
Not yet.
So we'll put our tubes in here, the ignition coils, and then some exhaust. All right, so we have the OEM supplier. This is what I did too. The black one, not the green one, because it's ridiculously expensive to get the green one. So we're just putting them back in. You just pressure fit them. They're kind of a pain to push in, but you just cover up all of those ones that we removed. 2 on one side and 1 on the other, times 2.
Well. So that one's like more jacked up.
Putting the headers back in is fun.
Let's
Get
see.
some stripped header bolts. Or, well, some nasty threads on them. Yeah, not a lot of thread there.
I mean, it's not going anywhere.
No.
You had a ratchet with a tool bit.
Here we are with a die and tap set, trying to make these header holes nice.
So the ones on the other side of the car.
All right, show us what we're doing here with these bolts.
So these are actually going to be fine. Let me go to the other side.
There.
So we'll take a nice one and a not so nice one. You can see how flat the threads are.
Yeah.
because the shop that did my IMS bearing had trouble with my stock exhaust, and then apparently had trouble with the aftermarket exhaust. They actually didn't charge me for the install, and now I know why. I was surprised.
Hope he doesn't notice.
Yeah. Well, if I hadn't had to take them off, they would have worked well enough.
So you're just taking some oil on that thing and a ratchet.
Yeah. So I just got it started. Get some oil on there.
This is some air tool oil that we're using here.
And just working it through.
And we've done one hole in the block and one bolt, and they pair up very nicely. So let's knock out some more. All right, time check. It is almost 5 p.m. At least an hour ago, we finished putting the last Bank 2 cam cover back on. So we got held up by this exhaust. So it's taken us an hour so far. We probably got another hour to go on it if we're lucky. So yeah, that's where we are right now. Millie, how do you feel about this? All right, 7:20. We have an exhaust reassembled finally, and it is about to be the big moment of truth. We're gonna put some oil in this thing and see if it blows up. Okay, 8.5 quarts we put in there. It says it's a little high, but of course it hasn't cycled through anything, and it was bone dry. And we're gonna hook the battery back up.
We're gonna take the pin out of top dead center.
Oh yeah. Do not leave the pin in.
Did we retorque the oil filter after we took it off?
I hand tightened it really tight. Yeah, so
I gotta pull this out.
take a nice lighting out. Gosh, what else? All right, so the engine cover is off the top and the front, so it's gonna be really freaking loud in my garage.
I think we forgot anything.
What else did we forget?
I don't think we forgot anything.
All right.
Did you pull the pin out?
I just pulled the pin out. It's right there. I need a 10 mil to put the battery back on.
Here we go. Okay, so the plan is start it, let it run a second, turn it off. What's that? I don't know. How do you do this?
Well, it can run a little bit.
Around like 5 seconds.
It is out of gear. Ready. Let's go.
No explosions.
It's shooting oil out of something.
Oh, yeah, I hear oil.
Lovely.
Do the sink down?
Where are we?
On the locks? I don't think it went down on the locks.
I could see it shooting up. Oh. It's an oil pressure gauge.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oil, your engine's still running oil now.
Yes. But it had a lot of oil in it, so.
But we know what it was. But we know what it was. Oh.
You got some kidding like the rasp.
Aha. Yeah, that's important. So a hole this size, shooting out oil.
Side of the,
That's-
it went into the drain, the drain thing on the.
Survey the damage. It actually looks super dry up here. I don't see anything.
It mostly hit this, I think, and splattered down.
Yeah.
Hopefully the.
Anything in the back seat?
Nope.
Oh,
But
we're
it's
clear.
all over here.
All over
in the front. The
Yup,
front.
it's
Yeah.
in your belts.
It's good for them. It'll lube them. Look at that. We got a shine on here now.
Yeah, everything's clean now.
We gotta clean things. All right, all in all, I'll take that if that's the worst thing that happened.
Didn't know you had OnlyFans.
Nah.
So, right down there is where the oil pressure gauge goes, and if not, out comes the oil.
It wasn't really measuring anything.
No.
All right, part going back in. Would you like any tools to assist? Or do we attach that from the bottom?
We'll torque it from the bottom.
Might need to top her up.
Yeah, definitely. See what
You
that
lost a
dipstick
good
says.
quart right there.
All right, another quart and a half in here. And it only took us like 10 minutes to clean that up. It wasn't bad. I guess we shouldn't forget to torque down the part when we raise this.
Yes, we need to pick that up and torque it down. Again, could be way worse than it is.
It'll never hurt anybody.
Wow.
Look at those shiny headers. Look brand new. Oh, I see it.
Yeah, arm doesn't bend that way. No joint there.
Looks painful.
Yeah. All right, that should be tight.
Awesome.
It's as hard as I can pull that.
Yes.
No, I took the key all the way out.
After no engine explosions, I'm more brave this time. And I'm
Alright.
gonna get closer. And you're just gonna fire it up. Sounds really good.
That sounds good. The oil's smoking, which that's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yep.
There's a thin coat of oil on a bunch of stuff in there.
We'll get that nice and burnt off.
Yeah.
Hopefully mostly not in my garage.
Yes.
Well, I mean, look at it this way.
Right.
You're kind of doing a rust-proof process.
Could you hand me a towel? Because I can see a spot I can reach from the driver's seat.
All right, so I think we lift it back up one more time, double check for oil leaks, make sure there's nothing there. And then, okay, other than residual leaking from that, no seeable oil leaks. Everything sounded really good. So we're gonna button it back up, put all of our bracing and stuff back on. And then I think we're gonna check our cam deviations again real quick.
Yeah.
It is 9 p.m. and it is out. It drives. Wow, what a success. All right, so his cam deviations were way off before we started this, so we're gonna do a quick test, see if it fixed it with the Durametric.
I don't know what to say about. Oh, there we go. There we go. Now, hopefully, it doesn't go completely crazy.
Slow down, slow down. Is this pink one?
Yes.
This is the one that was.
Negative 8 point something. You're supposed to do it when the motor's hot, so.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's fault codes.
-5 is better than -8.6.
That's much better than that. Let me just check. No fault codes. That's surprising.
So we, what was bank 2 for you?
Negative 1 point something.
Okay.
I would say that it is not accurate right now. It said to unplug it. Well, I know it reads 0 when the sensor's not plugged back in, but it also gives you a fault code for it. And that camshaft was at like -1. So
Yeah,
no fault code. I can try it again at home and see if I get more
drive it home
believable.
after half an hour, plug it back in,
Yeah.
and we'll see what happens. But it looks like it helped.
Yeah, I mean, if camshaft position 1 is accurate, then
That's accurate, and that's way better.
great.
Yeah.
It's not cooperating.
Awesome.
All right.
I'm calling it a success.
Whew. So after driving for about 60 miles, my car cycled enough for the check engine light to come on, which is for the oxygen sensors because I don't have cats in my headers. But also the camshaft deviations are now reading more accurately. So there's been a significant improvement in both of them. Or prior to replacing the VarioCam timing chain guides, my bank 1 deviation was -8.4, and my bank 2 was between -1.5 and 1.8. So both of them have seen an improvement. The car runs better, and I'm really happy that we didn't blow the engine up.
Whew. All right, that's it, guys. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. Is there anything you would do differently? Have you done this before? Are you now thinking about doing this? So this was a full weekend's worth of work. I think we have about 15 hours into it. I learned a lot. I think Steven learned a lot. We both feel a lot more confident working on this car now. I made a new friend, helped the community out. So overall, I think it was a fantastic weekend. So I just want to thank all of you for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe, consider joining the channel, and I will see you guys on the next video.